Welcome back to West Virginia. Loot until your hearts... Ah, crap.
Stupid!
Guys and gals, thanks so much for watching the first video, the stash video, of course. All the feedback and positive vibes, that was awesome. Thanks also to Oxhorn for the Twitter shoutout, that really got us started and is very much appreciated. Also a note, as I record this, I'm a little sick, so this might seem a little sniffy. Bear with me. They have announced in a community update that they will be increasing the stash size. It's something Pete Hines talked about. We noted that in the first video. It's going to be soonish, but it still might be a few weeks, so here's a bunch more tips to get you on your way. But first, let's review what we went over in the first video. Just a quick note, you can just watch the video if you haven't seen it already. Scrap all your junk before you put it in your stash. Build a base, sell excess chems and other aids. Ammo can't be sold and sometimes it gets very heavy, especially like missiles and mini nukes and stuff like that. Use your notes, use your recipes if you don't need them or already have them, give them away or just drop them. Also, power armor only weighs 10 pounds in your inventory and in your stash when it has the armor on it, so make sure your armor is put onto the power armor. Steel and wood can pile up. We're going to get into something related to that later on, but you don't need 1,000 steel, you need about 200, so don't let it add up in there. And it's a constant balance. You have to go back and work on your stash all the time, and that's still relevant to this video. You need to go back and be ruthless and pull stuff out that you don't need. Now, that video was made at level 21 in the beta. Now I'm 67, 68 in live? I don't even know. It's around there. And I've learned so much more, so let's get right to it. Alright, number one. Focus on your build. This has become really big and key for me. Focus on your build and weapons. Are you taking rifle perks? Then you don't need to stockpile pistols and missile launchers, no matter how good they are. Give them away or scrap them. I went pistols, so I'm kind of lucky. They don't weigh a lot, but even then, I started to toss out old pistols I knew I would never use. Low-level stuff that, while I have fond memories of using it, it needed to go, so goodbye, awesome single-action revolver. I loved you, but I can't use you anymore.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Along those lines, you can focus on only holding the ammo that you use. While having a sweet stockpile of 5.56 rounds is pretty cool, I need that space for fusion cores. The ammo does add up after a while. You don't need 2,000 rounds of something you're not going to use. Like we said in the previous video, give it away, give it to friends, give it to the people at Vault 76 when they pop out. Number two, mules. Mules. I touched on them in a previous video, but let's explain what a mule actually is. They're an alt character that you make for the specific purpose of holding your junk. You'll need a friend to help you with the muling. Basically what you do is you take all the stuff you want to hold, you give it to your friend, you make the mule, your friend gives it to the mule, and then you log off and then you do it when you want to get the stuff back again. It can be a bit awkward, but it's useful for holding like off-spec guns, legendaries, fusion cores. Like for example, on day one I managed to get on an empty map and I had the Thunder Mountain power plant to myself for hours, so I just had a huge stockpile of fusion cores, which I still have, and I was panicking because I'm like, I'm running out of space. Someone please make a mule and come grab these for me. Didn't have to do that, but that's an example where you'd want it. Selling is hard. We talked about selling chems in the first video, but of course with that we struggle with the cap limit and the linked nature of some of the merchants. To help with that, here are some of the merchants that I know of or have heard of. The robot vendor in Flatwoods Church seems to have its own cap pool. Charleston Fire Station as well. Apparently, I've never actually been there, I've just seen it mentioned. Watoga has its own Brotherhood vendor that has some high-end stuff, and also one of the linked vendor bots you can find in any train station. People have also mentioned White Springs as having certain vendors, plus there's also the elusive super mutant Graham, who wanders the roads all over Appalachia. I've run into him a few times, usually in the east, but he can spawn all over. There's way more, of course. I've not encountered them all. I have so much more exploring to do, so if you know of any, you, the viewer, please mention them in the comments to this video. Explosives, just use them as you get them. I entertain the notion of hoarding them and taking the Demolition Expert perk at a higher level, but they're just too heavy. Just have fun, blow stuff up, lay mines. It's so much fun to just plasma grenade like 5 scorched dudes all at once, so just use them up, you're gonna need to. Number 5, junk management. Don't know why I said it like that. In the previous video I mentioned steel and wood, but you can honestly extend that to all scraps. You don't need 300 copper.
Copper is very popular for architectural use.
You don't need 300 oil. I like to maintain a level of 50 to 150, maybe 200 for most, especially looking out for scrap that weighs 0.1 pounds each. That stuff adds up. Get Ruthless. Use it up or just dump it. Number 6, and kind of finally, we're going to get to some user comments after that, but my final point is you gotta just rid yourself of the hoarding mentality. In Fallout 4 you had limitless stash, but it also was to fuel a base 10 to 20 to 30 times larger than what you get in 76. And you could also have multiple bases. You could have 10 suits of power armor. You could hold every weapon just in case. 76 isn't that game right now. Once you build your base, what are you hoarding for? Item repair and crafting. That's what you're looking at now. Cut what you need to maintain your levels and accept that you don't need to pick up every cup, spoon, and plate. But you do need to pick up every military duct tape. Alright, now for the viewer comments. The first video's comments are full of good tips, except for the one saying you could store fusion cores and power armor. Don't do that. It will disappear. That's bad advice. You are mean people for saying that. You can scroll through them, but I've highlighted a few here and we're going to go over them. You may have heard of this one. Many a true nerd says, good advice, and I'd add in something else. I found that gunpowder ended up representing a lot of weight, given every super mutant seems to drop it. Once I started regularly mass producing ammo at Tinker's workbenches, that made a great difference. This is a good point. Gunpowder weighs 0.05 pounds and can add up like any other junk that you have. Keep an eye on it. Personally, I try and keep mine low and just capture the converted munitions factory in the northern part of the map for my ammo needs. It's worth the effort if you plan to play for a few hours. Big TK says, instead of just dropping steel, craft throwing knives and scrap them repeatedly. That way you get a nice little XP bonus and it's not entirely wasted. Another good point, the XP boost is small, but it is XP. I've once literally leveled up on 1 XP, so you can apply this thinking to getting rid of any junk as well. If you have a recipe for it, build with it and then sell it, or just throw it away or give it to a friend. Eddie the Band Kid says, keep all the unique and named legendaries, but sell the regular legendary armor and weapons. I agree on some of this. It's good advice if you're not sure, but if you're never going to use it, drop it or sell it. For example, I recently looted the Pyrolyzer, but dropped it. I just can't hold on to a 26-pound weapon on the 1% chance that I'll use it. Not right now, maybe in the future. And finally, ZoMG Hacks says, you forgot to mention about making bulk items, which reduces the weight of junk. You can bulk items in a Tinker's workshop, but I heard that bulking certain items actually increases the weight of said items, so I recommend bulking an item once and comparing the weight with the loose items to see if it's worth bulking. Bulking uses plastic. Well, ZoMG Hacks, you actually don't have to bulk it to find out how much it weighs. It actually says how much it will weigh, and I did the math, and other people have done the math, and here's what I've come up with. So almost every type of junk you can bulk will reduce the weight by 0.1 pounds, so it doesn't seem worth it. Doesn't seem worth the effort unless you just want to sell it, except bulking acid increases its weight by 0.15 pounds, so maybe don't do that. Bulking aluminum will save you 0.6 pounds, and bulking lead will save you 1.1 pounds. That's massive. So it seems that bulking does work, but the return on everything but aluminum and lead is negligible unless you want to sell it. So bulk up your aluminum, bulk up your lead. Don't worry about the other stuff unless you're going to sell it. And I think we're done. These tips should hold you over.
We will hold the line
until they eventually boost the limit, hopefully soon. My stash right now hovers around 350 to 360 these days, so it is doable. So thanks again for watching, for the awesome support, and we'll see you out there.